The United States must pledge before the world that it will not pursue journalists for shining a light on the secret crimes of the powerful. The US administration's war on whistleblowers must end.
And so I wanted to say this while you were speaking. I thought I should address this because of something that happened, because of something you said last week. I always say I am not on a side. I'm not blue. I'm not red. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I don't belong to any religion. I am on the side of humanity. And I want to say this. I live among what I consider many very educated Americans. In fact, I credit with most of the people in my inner circle as being very educated, but yet I sit silently and listen to them hating the other for their beliefs. Erik is one of my best friends. He's clearly a Republican. I don't have a side. If he is my friend, what gives me the right to judge his beliefs or his religion or anything? Why are we so dumb that we are hating people for what they believe? I'm sure you could use the argument, well, what they believe is our policies that are not good for us, that are not benefiting us, or what his president is doing is not good for the country, or what that one's president is doing is not good for the country. People, wake up. Every week I say, connect the dots. The last election that I voted, there was this mayhem taking place on Facebook. People wanting to dig each other's eyes out. And I remember going one night and writing, have you ever had coffee, lunch, or dinner with Trump? Have you ever had coffee, lunch, or dinner with Obama? Does he know you? Does Trump know you? How ignorant is it that you want to kill your fellow man and you don't want to be friends with them anymore because they choose one or the other?
Right.
Why can't we let education represent people's choice, people's free will to choose who they want to choose, to believe what they want to believe? Why is it in order for us to get along with each other, we have to see things eye to eye? To me, that is one of the definitions of ignorance, and I even feel like it's bullying. So I've had people reach out to me and say, oh, how could you be having Erik on your show? And I'm sure I've lost followers because he's clearly a Trumpster. I know Erik's heart. I know the person he is. He works for the freedom for a lot of people who have been misrepresented. And if he chooses to vote for Trump and to follow Trump's policies, that is his prerogative. It does not interfere with my friendship. I think it's so stupid and so dumb because every week I say, the left and the right are wings of the same bird. They're playing different parts. And you're hating each other. They're making policies that are not even benefiting you. But you're too busy pointing the finger at the policies of the opposition that you're not even looking at what those that are representing you are doing. So guys, wake up. Please wake up. We are running out of time, and you will soon find out what I mean when I say that. And that's my 2 cents. I am not on any side. I see and know that they are powerless half the time to deliver anything they promise you because they work for a hierarchy. Go do your homework. Hello, everyone. Today is July 9th, 2026. I can't even believe I just said that. I feel like we just had Christmas and we've gone past more than half of the year. And tonight, my dear international journalist was able to spare some time for us. And so he is here with me. And I've decided tonight we're just going to go with the flow because if we have to cover everything that is happening, it's going to be a long video. And people always say to me, why do you make the video so long? So, welcome back, Erik.
Hello, Jennylyn.
Well, Erik, I know you've been busy. I see you on TikTok first thing. I wake up at 5, and by 5:30, if I turn my phone on and I have certain people I like to listen to first in the morning because they're inspirational, you've already posted your video. I'm like, does this guy sleep? So, between your TikTok and all the international channels you're on, and some recent projects I know you've taken on, in addition to the ones I can see on your desk, where do you want to begin this week?
So we'll talk about a couple different cases that I've been working on. I mean, I'm into like over 40 different counties right now in Kentucky, compiling information and data and stories and statements. I'm probably the most booked cop on the history in the history of the United States right now. And I have to remind everybody, like, because they want their stories done, they want this done, they want that done. I said, look, I do more in one day than what your detectives do in a year. So you got to give me a minute. I'm only one person.
And you're not getting paid, right, Erik? You're doing this voluntarily.
Yes, I do this out of the kindness of my heart because it's the right thing to do. If I don't do it, nobody else will.
How sad. And the ones that are getting paid, well, no offense, but I believe a lot of them are corrupt. That's the problem. It's not that they're not working, is that they know that they shouldn't work because they're really not following the law, although they're supposed to be law enforcement. And that's the world we're living in now.
Right. So, I mean, I just got monetized again on TikTok for the second time. So, I mean, I'll be making a little bit of money off of the videos, but I've been talking to some people, and we are going to pursue a nonprofit and start that. We're hoping to have everything organized and ready to go by August, probably the middle of August. So there's you got to put together a board and all this, and so I'm working on that. And then we're going to start trying to collect some funds and bring in some researchers. Eventually hopefully we'll be able to retain a lawyer full time, and then we'll need what I want to do is bring in like some retired law enforcement officers to help with the investigative part of things, because it is a lot of work. So there's a plan to kind of expand out into what I'm doing. And I've had a lot of people ask me to jump into Mississippi. So I may start dabbling over into the state of Mississippi next. There's some things going on down there that I don't like. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at as far as my investigative projects.
So when you start your nonprofit, how are you going to vet the people you're bringing in? Because every single good thing I've known in my lifetime, I've watched corruption creep in. And it almost feels as though there is an agenda to corrupt every good thing. It's like having a healthy body and just eating the wrong meal and ingesting some kind of worm or bacteria. And it's in there festering but you are clueless that
Right.
it's living off of you. So how are you planning when you, because I would hate to see something so great become corrupted.
Yeah, so I mean, I do. There's going to have to be oversight, and I'm going to do a lot of that myself. Um, the one of the board members I'm bringing on that this is probably the only one that I can announce right now is going to be former Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill. He does the same thing that I do. He just does it in Atlanta. So he exposes corruption in Atlanta. He does a very good job. He fights just as hard as I do. So we've been working together for probably a year now on certain projects here in Atlanta. Um,
Can I interrupt you for a second? I would
yes,
love you to bring Victor Hill on and
he
interview the two of you. Talk to
yeah
him
he
and let me know.
yeah he would probably definitely do it. He's
Okay.
a pretty charismatic guy. So
Okay, so next week, whenever Victor is available, I'm doing a segment with the two of you. Is he also former or current law enforcement?
he used to be the sheriff of the entire county.
Oh, bring Victor here, please.
Yeah, and he was targeted by the corrupt Clayton County, and they ended up filing federal charges on him, and he ended up going to prison, and he's still fighting the case, and
Of course.
um, I've looked at his entire case, and I can't find a crime. I'm like, how do they convict this guy?
Well, because he was like you. If you're good, you're bad. And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
that and that's
bad,
what
you're good.
and
That's
he
the
knows
world
that
we're
now.
living
Yeah.
in.
So his problem was he's not from Atlanta. He's an outsider. He's from Louisiana, and so when he moved to Atlanta and came in, and nobody really knew him. He was just a cop, and him and his brother they worked their way up the ladder, and then Victor ended up being sheriff. And they didn't like him because he cracks down on crime. Like their crime rate went down. He was unbelievable. Like people were terrified of the sheriff's office. Like the criminals were the gangbangers because he would go out and get them. Now crime's gone up. Our murder rate in Clayton County's going up. There's like 8 deaths in the jail going on right like since January. Like it's a mess. The sheriff's office has turned into a mess. There's a sex scandal going on in the sheriff's office with the new sheriff. There's just so much
So
stuff.
I
Like,
hope you're exposing all of it.
yeah, he's on it. He's got a TikTok page, his Victor Hill, and he posts every day like I do. He's got a new video every day about something that he's found in Clayton County. So and him and his brother they do a podcast too. It's mainly like a true crime podcast. They look
Right.
at major cases and they break them down. It's called the Hill of Justice, and it's very well done. They do a really good job on there.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you, Victor. I'm hoping Eric will send this segment to you because you are the kind of people I want on my show.
Yeah, he's a
I,
fighter for sure.
yeah, because Eric, last night on the show, I think I made this comment and it's so true. Just listening to you just now, you said something and I thought, this is why I don't want to know. But this is the problem. People feel like they're powerless to change any of it, and so they turn away from it because it becomes a burden when you
Right.
go. And I'm one of those people, and I've only become that way lately. So as they say, you pick your battles, I'm picking my battle, and together, if we all pick a battle and just start making a tiny difference with that battle, then hopefully it will just eventually, like a ripple, spread,
Right.
and more people like us will come together to try to clean up the filth. Because when I look and when I look at what is happening, knowing what I know, it's so difficult not to be angry because there's so much injustice. Like you're saying, you couldn't find a crime and he went to jail. How long was he in jail?
I think he was in there 18 months.
And by the way, guys, if you're watching this show, please go research who owns the jails.
Yeah.
Same ones who own the medical community, the pharmaceutical industry, the schools, those who run the world.
Yep.
And so every time someone is locked up, they're making money. And none of the people who belong in the jail are going in. Innocent people are continuously being framed. And I believe a lot of people are aware of this, but they just turn a blind eye because, like I said earlier, there's nothing they feel there's nothing they can do about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it's when you look at these small communities, especially in like rural America, and you might if you're from a large city, this may not you may not understand this fully, because in larger cities you do have corruption, but you also have opposition to your corruption. There's more of a variety of different types of thinking people that if you're doing something wrong, somebody's probably going to bring it up and make you look stupid. But in these small rural communities, these elected officials just pretty much have unbridled power. If you're a judge, there's nobody that oversees you. And if you're a dominant Republican area and all your constituents are Republicans, no one is going to check you on what you're doing. They're just going to assume you're part of the party. You're doing a good job. But that's not how it works. These people really have like an imperialistic society in their little country communities, and that's where I've been uncovering a lot of stuff in these little lowly populated communities where the problem lies is, you look at people like Mitch McConnell. He came from a very small Eastern Kentucky town, worked his way up through the local political scene, and now he's one of the ranking congressmen.
Wait, is he still alive?
They just resuscitated him the other day.
God. Eric, sorry, but I have to interrupt you to ask you this. How come these politicians they don't die and they don't leave the office? These people are alive longer than the sun, some of them.
Right. So there are several politicians in Kentucky, but Mitch McConnell is the top ranking one. There's another one that kind of sneaks under the radar. His name's Hal Rogers. Hal Rogers is one of the financiers of basically like the rehab facilities. He made a fortune off of the rehab facilities. So when Andy Bashir allowed for the opioid epidemic to go crazy, he just funneled money to all these politicians so they could get all these rehab facilities. Well, the rehab facilities, what they do at them, they bring you in. If you're addicted to opiates, they'll give you opiates. So you're never gonna, like, when you're addicted to heroin, and I can't say I've never done heroin. I don't know what it feels like, but I have friends that have, so they've described it to me. They said it's like having a thirst all the time. They said when you take 2 days off and you don't have any heroin, you just thirst for it. And he said that's what happens in rehab is you're supposed to be coming off of heroin, but when you start to get sick, they give you Suboxone, and then that quenches your thirst temporarily. And so rehab keeps you being a junkie. And that's what they do. And then they throw you back out on the street because you know how they make their money? Medicaid. So if they have a continued cycle, a continued rotation of meth heads and heroin junkies coming through the rehabs, Medicaid's always going to cut a check.
So Eric, for 22 years, I did medical marketing. I was in and out of doctors' offices. And I remember one day being in a doctor's office and watching his waiting room full of people with Ziploc bags of drugs. And then I thought to myself, no wonder we have an opioid crisis in America. At this time, I did not know who owned the pharmaceutical industry. But now I know who owned the pharmaceutical industry. And this is what I figured out from my research. When you have a problem with this drug, to take you off, you're put on another drug. And then if that drug starts affecting you, then you're on another drug. And pretty soon you're going from one medication because the pharmaceutical industry has to sell them all. They have to profit from it. It's another corrupt business that innocent people just go to the doctors and take whatever they're told to take. At my
Right.
age, I'm proud to say everything they gave me, I weaned myself off of it. So, Eric,
Right.
now that I know
So,
what I know, there's no way I'm going to take drugs like that.
right, right. I'm the same way. I do not put pharmaceutical grade medications in my body or
Yep.
anything like that. But one thing to kind of note is in Kentucky, so the people of Kentucky sued Big Pharma several years ago. And Andy Bashir, he was Attorney General at the time. His former law firm represented Big Pharma, and they made this like $25 million settlement. It was way they lowballed it way lower than what it should have been. And then as soon as that concluded, Big Pharma donated a bunch of money to Andy Bashir's, or not Andy Bashir's, it was to the Attorney General Fund. So there was a kickback, a pay to play. Andy Bashir is probably one of the slickest crooks I've ever seen. He is very slick. As a matter of fact, one of his top individual donors is the London, Kentucky mayor, Randall Weddle. Now, Randall Weddle is somebody that I spend a lot of time on. He has been public enemy. Well, I'm probably his public enemy number one. He probably has nightmares about me. But he just they're currently the city council has filed articles of impeachment against him today. So the city sued him, and because he doesn't live in the city, but he's mayor of the city, but he owns a house in the city. So the judge, when this happened, the judge went out to this house in the city that he says I live in and was looking in the windows and stuff. He's like, there's nothing in here. It's just a prop house. And so he could be mayor. Well, this guy is very wealthy. Randall Weddle, well, he was very wealthy. He made his money. Well, nobody really knows how he made his money. That's the thing. Supposed to be in like some reverse logistics nonsense, but I'm in my investigations. I am close to being pretty sure that he was stealing from the Amazon warehouse in Indianapolis, because he owned a transport company. And so I think he was paying off dock workers, and they were loading up electronics on his trucks. So anyway, that's besides the point. But Randall Weddle, he's a very corrupt mayor, and what he does is he buys people off. So his agency is the one we talked about last week, where the police department they issued a warrant in the middle of the night for receiving stolen property of a weed eater. The police department went in, they went to the wrong house, shot and killed an innocent man, and nothing happened of it. The Kentucky State Highway Patrol took over the investigation, which was one of the police chief's friends. So naturally, nothing got done. There was no bill, no indictment. Nobody got in trouble. It just kind of like poof, it disappeared. So the community is trying to keep it alive. But in the meantime, Randall Weddle's grace has been falling. His credit card, American Express, filed a lawsuit because of unpaid bills. He owes like $100,000 to that. He's got all these lawsuits from civil rights violations. This guy, the community has been hammering him with lawsuits. And the community, if they settle them all, the town's going to go bankrupt. But that's how bad this guy is. The town don't care as long as he goes. And they just filed Monday. He has a Lamborghini. Well, he hasn't paid his Lamborghini note. So the Lamborghini lien holder is here in Atlanta. And they filed a suit to get that Lamborghini back. They're repoing it. So that's why I made a video the other day saying, as soon as that Lamborghini hits Atlanta, guess who's making a video inside it? Me. So I'm going to be sitting in his Lamborghini at some point, enjoying every second of it.
Rick, how do you find these? How do you get access to this information?
For the most part, so here's my trick. Here's my secret. In every community, every county, every office that's a government facility, there's at least one disgruntled employee. An assistant clerk, a 911 dispatcher, there's at least one disgruntled employee. And that disgruntled employee will find their way to my inbox. They
You
were
better
getting
not
mad.
get anybody killed.
Right. Well, they were getting mad there for a while because there were several court cases going on, and I had a leak inside the grand jury. And the grand jury's supposed to be sealed, so I'd make the video just to make them mad. I'd make the video and let them know what was going to happen before the grand jury even announced it. And so they were freaking out, trying to figure out who the leak in the courthouse is. They never figured it out.
Gosh, I have a hard time keeping a straight face. I love
But
it. I love
Jennylyn,
it. It's time these people get exposed.
well, remember, once upon a time, real journalism worked like this,
Yes.
and now they don't. They're
You know
just
why?
cue card readers.
Guess why?
What?
Because they don't want to die. So many journalists.
I mean, I don't want to die
have been
either,
killed.
but
I have friends say to me, Jenny, are you crazy? Why are you saying things that can get you killed? And I said, because they can't kill me.
yeah.
And if everyone, this is what's happened throughout our lifetime. Everyone's afraid to die. Everyone remains silent, and corruption is spreading like poison ivy. I am so sick of it. It's everywhere you turn. And what is annoying about it, innocent people. I know of stories, Eric. I should start funneling some your way, but I see a lot of notes on your desk already. I actually sent you one this week. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but that guy is riding my back like a monkey. He's desperate to get someone to help.
I'm not ready to talk about that one yet.
Okay, let's put it on the back table. So
Yeah.
So you ended up with a lot of these cases in Kentucky. How did you even get to the first case that clearly is leading you from one to the next?
Well, so I mean, I'm a conservative, so I tend to vote conservative. And one thing that I don't like that conservatives are really, really bad at is they react to everything. They never get ahead of any issue. They react to everything. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, we got Trump in office, all that. But who are the Democrats going to prep next? And I thought, you know what? They're going to change. They're going to completely change. My prediction at the time was they were going to completely change the way that they elect a presidential candidate. They're going to bring in somebody that they haven't had before, and I thought it's going to be Andy Beshear. He's quiet. He doesn't have a lot of noise out there in the open. Nobody really pays attention to Kentucky. He can slide right in there and use his charisma and charm to win a bunch of votes. And I thought that's going to be the dark horse right there, Andy Beshear. And so I thought, you know what? Since the conservatives don't want to do their job to preserve the party, I'm going to do it for them. So I started diving into Andy Beshear and started finding all kinds of stuff. This dude is he's not really doing a lot of horrible stuff, but he is getting kickbacks from everything. He's a crook. He is 100% a crook. And so I started following the money trail. So then it led me to London, Kentucky. Then it led me to Pulaski County, Kentucky. Then it just kept going and going and going and going. All these people that are linked, and that's who Andy Beshear's security detail officer, Blake Owens. He's the one who I was going after him because he's a dirty cop too. And he's on Andy Beshear's security detail. Well, they're the ones who got my TikTok shut down last time. So
really, you found out they're the ones who got your TikTok shut down?
Like I said, every office has a disgruntled employee.
Oh my goodness. I thought they shut you down because you were putting too much truth out there. Like you did in your book.
I mean,
you got a bullet for that.
Yeah, that specific officer lied on the stand, and I caught it and exposed it. and he went to Bashir, and they made a big complaint about my TikTok, and they took it down. The
But
whole
guess
channel.
what? You
But I'm back.
can't stop those who are doing the work of God, what everyone calls God.
Right.
When you're working for the light, you can't stop everyone. And maybe
Now,
some of us were selected to do this.
yeah, Kentucky is a Commonwealth state. And so its roots are very, very closely tied to Europe. It's a very European ran. It's ran like England. And so you have to really like kind of understand how these Commonwealth states work. They're very rooted in their like heritage. And Kentucky is exactly like that. They are very tight knit communities, and these corruption schemes have been going on for generations and generations. They just pass down the scam to the next family member, and it just keeps going. So that's what we're trying to end. That Eastern Kentucky is one of the poorest districts in the entire United States. The poverty level is insane. Kentucky ranks third in the most corrupt state in the United States, and that's just what they report. If they were to go by my data, Kentucky would be the most corrupt state in the world. So it's they're comparable to Ukraine. So it's that bad. It's really that bad. They're comparable to Cuba. They're comparable to Venezuela. So it's just the way that they run it. And the problem is they don't really have Republicans and Democrats there. And most states depend on that. Like Atlanta, we have corruption, but it gets caught really quick because you have some diehard Republicans and you have some diehard Democrats. When they screw up, these guys are like sharks in the water to expose it. In Kentucky, you don't have that. Yeah, Andy Bashir is a Democrat. You've got some Democrats in office there, but overall, they're a uniparty there. It's 100%. It's a uniparty. And so they cover each other's corruption all the time. Same thing with, Rand Paul. Same thing with, Mitch McConnell, James Comer. I found dirt on him. And he's supposed to be running all these congressional hearings of corruption. But he should probably go check his own backyard. So, there's things, and I haven't really spoke out on the serious things I found out about James Comer because I have to really kind of look at my own security situation for that. But they're all dirty. I have lost 100% faith in Congress. I don't trust none of them. So when they call me and ask me for money, I tell them to kick rocks. When they come to my town, I go in there and meet with them just so I can say, what makes you any different than the other criminals that you keep pointing your finger at? And they never have answers. They're always scamming away to the next scam. Here, look at his scam so you don't see my scam.
Erik, we just run out of time. But before you go, what do you want to leave the viewers with?
Well, I'm just going to close, Jennylyn, just kind of piggybacking off of what you just said. I'm very data driven, so I look at data. If I see data that doesn't make sense, that tells me a story. So I look at polling a lot, and I know everybody's going to go, boy, I see polling too. So I use real clear polling when I look at favorability amongst candidates, because it's the average of all the major polls. Because if you go from Rasmussen to the Fox poll, it's plus minus 10 points. That's not accurate. So I just say, okay, there's the Trump hating ones and there's the Trump loving ones. We'll just average those out. That should get me closer to what it actually is. So I only use real clear polling because I like averages. And so President Trump polls at for about 40.5%. I think yesterday when I checked, he was 40.5. So one thing I see is both parties, they like to rally around their congressional people. And especially on the left, you see it more. They're trying to win seats, so they're having more rallies right now. And one thing that I want everybody, as everyone points the finger and says how much they hate Trump, and I'm not going to tell you to like him, But what I am going to tell you is to pay attention to the strategy, because the strategy matters. Because the Democrat Party polls, according to Real Clear Polling, which is an average of all of them, at like 36%. President Trump, on average, polls higher than the Democrat Party. President Trump polls higher than the 38% of the Republican Party. So while the Congress is always criticizing President Trump, maybe they need to take a deep look at themselves. So they're not doing anything right either. So for me to put my loyalty and my hoorah behind a congressman that's polling at 36 and 38%, I'm not going to do that. That's a failed policy according to the data. So that's what I have.
But you know, Eric, you know there are those out there who will say that he butchered the data.
It's there. It's liberal polling. Most of them are. It's their data.
Well, you can't argue with the data, I guess.
Yeah, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 Republican pollsters. The rest of them, there's like 15 of them that are liberal.
I will start voting when there's a president that I can connect the dots, how he is representing humanity, and his focus is on making a better life so that everybody has a chance to live comfortably and less emphasis, time, and money on wars. When that person shows up, and I know I'm never going to see that in this lifetime, because those people that the presidents report to are the ones that own the war business. And so this is going to be a perpetual thing until the divine comes to the planet and changes it. And so why would I vote? To me, I'm being a hypocrite. I'm not knocking you, Eric, for voting. I'm glad you vote, but that's why I will never vote again, because I'm not going to waste my time. And I know some people argue, well, not voting, you're allowing whatever party to win. They're wings of the same bird. So it's the same argument.
Well, before you go on and close this out, I do want to say that, yes, while I do tend to side conservatively, 99% of the hundreds of TikTok videos of the politicians that I've gone after, 99% are conservative politicians. I have made it my quest that if our party is not going to clean up, I will clean it up for us. And so that is what my main agenda is on TikTok, is to hold my own party accountable and get these crooks out of here so we can clean up this country. Now, I've been telling, when liberals come at me, I tell them the same thing. I'm like, hey, I'm too busy. I can't fight with you right now. I'm too busy cleaning up my own garbage in my own backyard. Go do yours.
Thank you, Eric. I know that Eric is someone with very high integrity. If he weren't, he would not be successful at taking down the bad guys. And to me, it's not who a person is voting for, is what they're doing. I am someone who believes, show me your actions. I don't care to hear your words. That's just wind, in my opinion. Many people say many words, but there are no actions that accompany them. Right. And I am proud to say Eric is making a huge change in many people who have been wronged in their lives. And I have a great respect for him. And he has a tremendous amount of integrity. Otherwise, he would not be in my close circle. So thank you guys, and all those who have bailed ship because I hang out and I bring a Republican on my show. Well, good luck. I am not doing this for numbers. I say
love humanity.
I am not doing this for fame. I am doing this because I am hoping it will change things for those who are struggling. And we will be back next week. Thank you for those of you who are still here. Bye.